to have you here with me again for another Lunch and Learn series every at 12 noon. So I hope you grab your lunch so you can sit down with me just for half an hour to talk about something that is going to help you grow your business, grow your brand, and really help you elevate your brand, right? For those of you who are here for the very first time, I am Adanna Austin. I'm a business coach and consultant, and I work with high end entrepreneurs like yourself to get very clear on your goals, identify your ideal clients, and develop the strategies to grow your business. And one of those ways to grow your business, to grow your visibility, to grow your brand awareness is through your content creation. So some people call it content creation, some people call it messaging. For the purposes of this discussion, we are going to talk about content creation, right? So let me know you can hear me and see me. Tag your business besties, tag your accountability partners, and let's get into this discussion about content creation. Now, what we're going to speak about today is specifically about how you repurpose your content for multiple platforms. But before we go into how you repurpose your content, let's talk about what content is. Now, your content is the information that you're sharing with your audience on your different platforms to help them know that you exist, to let them know that you exist, to get them excited, to get them to buy from you, to position yourself as a thought leader and a brand authority. So your content has a lot of different purposes. And the type of content that you share may be different depending on the type of business that you have. But the core thing about your content is that your content is meant to educate, inspire, motivate, entertain, build authority, build leads, and ultimately get sales. So you have to have a purpose for the content that you are sharing, which is why I say to my clients every time you're going to post something online, or you're going to share an email, or you're going to write a blog, or you're even going to do an interview, because that is also part of your content. What is the purpose of this content that I'm sharing? What do I want people to leave understanding, knowing, and what do I want people to do after they have consumed this content that I am sharing with them? So every piece of content that you put out must have a purpose. Even if that purpose is to entertain your audience, it still is a purpose. And you have to be very, very clear and be very intentional about what that purpose is. Now, as I said, your content is the information that you're sharing. And a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with what to share, right? What do I share so that I'm consistent? Because remember, the content is only going to be impactful if you are consistently sharing it. So, what can I share? And what is easy for me to share so that I can be consistent with my content? That is a question I get asked all the time. Now, your content can look like a few things. Your content can be long form content, which means it might be a few paragraphs long. You might be sharing your story of why you started this business, a story of your engagement or interaction with a client, a story about the day and the life of your business, anything like that. That is long form content. Your content can also be short form, which is just a few lines. It can be where you're asking your audience a question. It can be a video like this is a form of content. It can be a poll, it can be stories, it can be reels, anything that you want to share. It can be a picture, it can be a meme. Anything that you want to share with your audience is content, and it can be different things. And I always encourage entrepreneurs to share different types of content. And the reason I encourage you to share different types of content is because remember that your audience consumes content in different ways. Some people love to read long form content, some people prefer shorts, some people prefer videos, some people prefer audio. You know what I mean? Your audience prefers different types of content. And when you also share different types of content, it also breaks the monotony of your content, right? People need to hear content in different ways or see content in different ways. so that the message that you're sharing with them is reinforced, or the offer that you are sharing with them is reinforced to them so that they can buy from you. So when you're thinking about your content, you want to make sure, what is the purpose of this content that I am putting out? What type of content would really move the needle in my business, would make my audience excited to listen to me, read what I'm saying, because the content has to be something that is valuable to your audience, right? It has to be something that is going to make them not just read it once, but come back and listen to you over and over again. It has to be content that's going to make them follow you, subscribe, and even content that is going to encourage them to leave some kind of comment underneath the information that you're sharing. So your content has to be enticing. It can't just be a flyer and buy from me, buy from me, buy from me. It has to be content that is going to create some kind of reaction from your audience. That's the kind of content that you want to create. So when a lot of entrepreneurs come and say to me, yes, Adanna, I have a social media page, I even have a website, what should I be sharing? Some of the content that you can be sharing is frequently asked questions. What are some frequently asked questions that your audience asks you? Although you might be tired of hearing that question, the fact is that if one person asks that question, multiple people may have that question. So it is in your best interest to answer that question. So frequently asked questions. You can share your testimonials, right? That is also a form of content that you can share with your audience. Testimonials and reviews from people who have bought from you in the past and who have had really, really great interactions with your business and has gotten some type of results from your business. That is a piece of content that you can share. You can share industry news. Again, this depends on your business, but industry news. If there's anything new that is happening in your industry, share it with your audience. That is a great way for them to encourage them to actually follow you, because you are showing them that you are on top of whatever is happening in your industry or in your niche, right? Sharing industry news, your frequently asked questions, your testimonials, right? Those are all different types of content. And guys, they are like 10 to 15 different types of content that you can share, which I have shared in another training. But this is just for you to understand that once you decide to be an entrepreneur, you have to become a content creator. You have to, because you have to create content on a consistent basis that is going to get your audience excited to not just buy from you, but to engage with your business. Yeah. So you have to become a content creator, you have to become a marketer, and you have to be comfortable selling. These are things you cannot get away from as an entrepreneur, whether you have an online business or an in-person business, a brick and mortar business. Yeah. So that is what content is. You hear people say messaging. What is your message? Make sure your message is educational, inspirational, motivational. Make sure it's entertaining. Make sure it's building your brand authority. Make sure it's encouraging people to buy from you by having a call to action. It's building leads, right? All of those things are important in your content creation journey with your consistency, because guys, if you are not consistent, it will make or break your business. You have to be consistent. Now, where do you share your content? You can share your content anywhere your ideal clients are. For the intents and purposes of this conversation, and because all of you are watching me on social media, we're going to lean into the discussion of social media, right? Whether that's on your YouTube channel, on your Facebook page, on your Instagram page, your LinkedIn, your TikTok, wherever your ideal clients are. Now, you don't have to be on every social media platform, guys. We already spoke about this. You don't need to be on every social media platform, but you need to be in the spaces where your ideal clients are looking for the solutions that you may be offering. Because your content can also be shared via email. Your content can also be shared on your website. It can be shared in a blog. It can be shared in a podcast. And again, it really depends on the type of business that you have, that you will determine what type of content I need to share, where I need to share that content, and how consistent I need to be in order to get the sales, in order to get leads. Now, when you're thinking about content as well, a lot of people ask, Adanna, do I need to post every single day? How many times a day? What's the best time to post? I will say the best time to post depends on your audience. Guys, nobody can tell you what's the best time to post unless you are posting consistently. Post consistently and then look at your analytics and see what times and what days your audience is usually online. That will guide you as to what days and what times are the best times to post for your audience. Do you need to post every single day? The easy answer to that is yes, especially if you are at the beginning stages of your business and you don't have an active and engaged audience as yet, and you're not running ads. So you're looking at organic engagement, you're looking at organic ways to get people to know that you exist, then yes, you should be posting every single day. And I know it sounds like it is a lot, but hear me out. Yes, you should be posting every single day. You can either automate some of your content, and I'm sure you guys know how to automate some of your content. Yeah, there are tools now. Social media has the built-in tools where you can automate your content. You can automate your content, and you can also post in real life. Right? I like to do a mix of both. So some of my content that I share on social media is automated in advance, and some of it I do as the wind blows, right? Does this make sense to you guys? Tell me in the comments if it's making sense to you. So you can have a mix of both. Again, it depends on your lifestyle because some entrepreneurs who may be working full time and running their business at the side, they're trying to build up their business. Automation may be the best way for you to manage your consistency with your messaging, right? Other people who may not have those restrictions, it may be easier for them to just post on the whim. The most important thing is to figure out what does consistently look like for me and how can I incorporate this into my business so that I am consistent with showing up and showing up with the right information for my audience. Yeah. So your analytics are going to show you what days and times make sense for you. And your automation is going to help you with your consistency if that is something that you struggle with. I always tell my clients choose a day where you simply focus on content creation and schedule out for at least 2 to 3 weeks. Don't schedule too far in advance, but schedule for at least 2 to 3 weeks so that in case life is life in, you can still show up to your audience in case you can't show up on a particular day because life may be happening for you, right? Because if you continue to post and then disappear, what is going to happen is that you are going to lose the trust of your audience. And a big part of this messaging and content creation that you're creating is to build that know, like, and trust. Building that know, like, and trust means that you have to be consistent. That is how you build that know, like, and trust. People have to trust that you are there to help them, that you have the solution. So if you are showing up just one day for the week or one day for the month, you are literally telling your audience that I'm not serious about this business, right? I'm not serious about this business. And if you are showing them that you are not serious about this business, then why would you expect them to spend their hard-earned money with you? Or why would you expect them to follow you, to like you, to share your offers with anybody else, right? They would never become your walking billboard, and you would struggle to build an active and engaged audience if you are not consistent. So you have to find what that looks like for you. For me and my business, we do that on a Sunday. We try to schedule out everything. We create our content for the next week or next 2 weeks so that it becomes easier for you. So you may have to do a mix of automation and a mix of just posting on the fly. One of the things that I also do is as I come off the phone with a client, I usually just post based on the conversation that we had because I also recognize that if my client has this question again, somebody else may have the exact same question. So it may as well go ahead and answer that question. And that allows me to create a higher level of visibility, a higher level of brand authority. Yeah. so that it's easier for people to say, yes, they want to buy from me. Making sense? Yes, guys? Everything is making sense, right? And as I said, you create different types of content: long form, short form, video, questions, images, stories, reels. Utilize all the tools that are available to you, especially with your Instagram. You have stories and reels, and even with your Facebook. Utilize all the tools that are available to you. If you want to use videos, you can either go live like I go every Wednesday, or you can pre-record those videos and share them with your audience over time. And we're going to talk about that as well in this training, because video is still the number one way to really capture your audience's attention, right? So if you're not doing videos, whether it's live or pre-recorded, you decide which makes sense for your business, then you may be leaving money on the table, right? Because people want to see who they're buying from, they want to hear who they're buying from, and the video comes across a lot more intimate to your audience. You understand what I mean? It's a lot more intimate to your audience. So it's a lot more impactful to your audience. And that's why you see a lot of these social media platforms has made videos such an integral part of your marketing. Making sense? Yes or no in the chats? Making sense? Tell me yes or no in the comments. Yeah? And with videos as well, you can do long, you can do short. It always depends on your audience. What's your purpose and what is the goal of the content that you are going to share? Now, the purpose of this training today was to come and talk to you, obviously, about repurposing content. And why do I think repurposing content is important? Is because content creation in itself is a job, right? It can be very daunting and it can be very, very time consuming. So I always try to teach my clients and to teach my audience the importance of repurposing the content. Repurposing simply means utilizing one piece of content and sharing it across multiple platforms and in different ways as well. The reason you want to do that is to save you time, is efficient time and resources. You can reach a wider audience, you can reinforce your message, and you can also build authority. That's why you want to get into the practice of repurposing content. And your content that you're going to repurpose can be content that you shared 6 months ago, even 2 years ago. I have content that I share with my audience up to today that was 2 years ago. Once the content is still relevant to your audience, then you want to share it again, right? And going back to your analytics, right? A lot of your business has to be the decisions that you make in your business um, is determined by the analytics that you are following, because remember, you are making decisions on your business based on the data that you're collecting. So what I do, I go back into my analytics and I figure out, okay, what content really got my audience excited. When I say excited, I mean what made them share a lot of their own stories underneath my content, what made them not just like, but they shared it, they commented underneath that content. That content is what I want to repurpose, what I want to reshare with my audience over and over again, because it means that that message that I shared, that video that I shared, that meme that I shared, that question that I asked is still very, very relevant. Does that make sense? And this takes away the stress of, oh gosh, what do I have to share now? What do I have to share now? I'm sounding like the same thing over and over. Guys, don't get caught up in that thinking of I can't say the same thing over and over because my audience is going to get tired. What you have to determine is, how can I say this in a different way? Because if you're promoting an offer, or if you're promoting the opening of your store, you're promoting a new service that you have to share it multiple times in order to get people to buy from you, not so? And in order to share it multiple times, you have to figure out different ways of sharing that information. So you may share it as a flyer, yes. Then you might do a video, yes. Then you might ask a question about their own experience, yes. That's still sharing information, right? Then you may share a story of somebody who has worked with you or who has visited you or who has engage with you. So you share that story, then you share a testimonial. All of this forms part of the promotion of whatever your offer is, right? Does that make sense, guys? Tell me in the comments if that is making sense. And if you're listening to this training afterwards, just put replay so I can measure how many people are listening to it on the replay. Yeah, it's about determining what are the different ways I can share this particular message with my audience. So when it comes to repurposing, I'm going to share my example of how I repurpose one piece of content across multiple platforms. And my platforms would include social media, my YouTube channel, my email, and even my blog, my website, right? So one of the things that I do, I would record a video. So let's just use this video as an example, right? So I'm doing a live training right now with you guys talking about repurposing your content. What can I do after I have shared this particular video with you? I can then download this video. I can then transcribe this video. So you already saw the video, right? Everybody who's following you is not going to see your video because 2 to 3% of people who follow you actually see what you are posting. Everybody does not see it. Just give me a sec, guys. Right? And I can download this particular training, and then I can transcribe everything that I've said in this training. I can transcribe it using TurboScribe, Otter.ai. There are many, many tools on the market. I can transcribe it, and then I can take that transcript and drop it into ChatGPT, Gemini, any one of those AI tools, and ask them to convert it into a blog. Obviously, you're giving your AI instructions. You're not just dropping your whole transcript, but you're giving them instructions about what you want to see in the blog, the tone of the blog, certain words you want to use, the keywords, and that kind of thing. And I will take that new blog, and then I will drop it into my Grammarly. You all are familiar with Grammarly, which will help you to make sure that it sounds correct. Yeah, and it's grammatically correct. And then I can share that as a blog. So that's one video that you got that I can then convert into a blog that I can then share on my website. Right? And as I'm sharing that blog on my website, I then take that blog and I share it to my email list. Making sense, guys? And then I can take this same video that I'm doing, and when I download it, I can edit it and share it on my YouTube channel. Making sense? So one piece of content, and I'm repurposing it in different places. So I'm already sharing it on my website. I'm sharing it as an email, and then I'm also sharing it on my YouTube channel. Yeah, making sense? And then I can strip the audio from the blog, from the video, sorry. I can strip the audio from the video and also convert that into a podcast. For those of you who have podcasts, I know everybody doesn't have a podcast, right? I can convert that into a podcast. So with this one video, so let's say this video is 10 minutes or 20 minutes. I've created a video, I've created a blog, I've created an email, I've transferred it also to my YouTube channel, and I've created a podcast with one piece of content. Does that make sense to you guys? And I can take this video as well and chop it up into smaller videos that I can then share on my reels and my stories. So it is not about trying to figure out, oh my gosh, what do I share? What do I share? What do I share? You look at what you already have and share that in different ways across different platforms. Does that make sense to you guys? And you do it piece by piece. You don't have to try and do everything one time. So if you do a video, try to transcribe it and then create it as a blog. The other thing that I do is I take my blog and I break that up into different social media posts. So I take a paragraph from my blog and I can share that as a post as well, and then direct people back to the blog or direct people to something that I have to offer. Does that make sense? So you're taking one piece of content and you're sharing it multiple times across multiple platforms. You're repurposing the content so that you don't have to struggle with creating new content over and over and over. There are tools that you can use. You have TurboScribe, you have Grammarly, you have use Canva, you have CapCut. But that is why when you're creating messaging, you have to determine what is the purpose of this messaging. If you share a really great story on your Facebook page, for example, you can take that same story, which is a long form piece of content. You can take that same story and then share it to your audience via email. So you can take that post and convert it into an email for your audience. The purpose of repurposing the content is to reinforce the messages that you want your audience to hear, to reach a wider audience, and to build your authority. Let me know if this is making sense to you guys, because I want you to leave this training understanding that creating content does not necessarily have to be hard. It comes easier once you have a strategy in place for your business. And as I said, everybody doesn't have a blog and everybody doesn't have a podcast like I do. Granted, but you determine, okay, where am I showing up? I'm showing up in my emails. I'm showing up on my social media. Most people start there, right? I'm showing up in my emails and I'm showing up in my social media. How can I take the information after I created my content calendar? How can I take that information and make sure that I can create it into different pieces? So I did a video. I love to start with a video because the video tends to be a little longer, and with a video, you can share a lot more information. So I love to start with a video. So if you're just doing your social media and your email, you can start with a video, transcribe the video, right? When you transcribe the video, then you break it up into separate talking points. If your video was 20 minutes, I'm sure you had at least 5 or 6 talking points. Take each talking point as a different social media post, right? And then share the full video on your YouTube channel, or share that transcript once you fix it up, obviously, as an email as well to your audience. Because the purpose of how you have to show up is that you have to reiterate things to your audience. You can't just say, well, I shared it on Monday, right? No, you have to share it on Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday. You may just have to share it in different ways. And this is an easy way for you to share it in different ways by repurposing the content so that your audience is hearing the same thing from you, but in different ways. Is that making sense? I always give the example as well in my trainings of 5 ways to tie your shoes. If that is the main topic that you're talking about, you have 5 ways to tie your shoes. So on your social media page, you put the 5 ways to tie your shoes. That's one post. Then you can do an infographic showing the 5 ways to tie your shoes. Then you can do a video talking about the 5 ways to tie your shoes. And then you can do another post showing the 2 most popular ways to tie your shoes. And then you can do another post talking about out of the 5, which is the most difficult way to tie your shoes, right? You take that first post talking about the 5 ways and you create that into a blog of the 5 ways that you tie your shoes. And then you take that and you also convert that into an email about the 5 ways that you can tie your shoes, right? You create different infographics. You can even do another video talking about either the 2 most popular ways to tie your shoes, or another video talking about the most difficult way to tie your shoes. Think about that. That is already 10 pieces of content talking about one topic, but you're repurposing the information. You're repurposing the information, guys, right? So that's one way that you can do it so that you don't struggle with creating content. Just take your big idea and break it up into smaller parts. Because sometimes the information that you want to share, while it might be easy for you to digest because you are living and breathing your business, for your audience, you may need to break it up into smaller parts. Yeah, you may need to break it up into smaller parts for them to be able to digest the information in an easier way and for them to be able to take action with the information. So that's just one of the ways for you to repurpose your content. Yeah, and obviously you want to continue to track the performance of everything that you share so that you know, okay, this piece of content actually worked best with my audience. This time worked best with my audience. This day worked best with my audience so that you can fine tune and repurpose how you show up with your audience on your socials. Your analytics are not just your socials. You're looking at your analytics for your email as well. You're looking at your analytics on your website as well. You're looking at your analytics on your YouTube channel as well so that you can make more defined decisions in your business moving forward. Making sense? Yes? And then you can take that same information that you've broken down and a month from now or 2 months from now, reshare that information. Because if the information is still relevant to your audience, then there is no harm in resharing that information. One of my big content pieces that I reshare every time we have a vacation or something like that, a vacation, a vacation day in Trinidad and Tobago is to talk about 10 things you can do when the rest of the country is on vacation. I share that for every time that we have a vacation and it's still very relevant. I would change one or two things in the post, but it's still relevant. There's a lot of posts that I share that I just reshare every 3 months, every 2 months, every whatever. I reshare with my audience because the information is still very valuable. Now, the thing is, you have to create what I like to call a library of content. When you're brand new, you do not have a library of content. And that's where your consistency comes in. Once you are consistent for at least 3 months, 90 days, keep your head down and be consistent in showing up and sharing information with your audience. You create that library of content. Then you can start to say, okay, let me share this, reshare this information. Let me reshare this video. Yeah, let me reshare this blog. Let me reshare this email. Let me reshare this audio. Right? Your goal is to create a library of content that you can reshare with your audience in different ways or at different times or in different seasons of the year, right? Once the information is still very relevant to your audience. So as you move forward in your business, I want you to think of how can I repurpose my content so that I save time, so that I position myself as a brand authority, so that I reach a wider audience of people. If you've been in business a year or two and you've been consistently, stop what you're doing today, go to your analytics, go back and see which pieces of content really resonated with your audience and take out those pieces of content and reshare them over the next 2 weeks or the next month with your audience, obviously if it's still relevant. If you do not have um, a content calendar or you do not have a library of content, I would encourage you to start off with a very dynamic video, right? That you can then transcribe and break down into multiple pieces of content for your audience, right? And just do that every week until you create a library of content that you can pull from, right? Create a content calendar so that you are not struggling every morning trying to figure out what am I going to share? What am I going to talk about? You remember 2 weeks ago, we talked about your content pillars. What are the 3 or 4 things that you can talk about in your business over and over? That is where you're creating your content calendars from your content pillars, right? What are the 3 or 4 topics that you know your audience needs to hear from you over and over? Use those content pillars to create your content calendar and create your content library so that you always have information to share with your audience that is relevant and it's not sounding like everybody else. And every piece of content that you share does not look and sound the same way. I hope this makes sense for you. I hope it opens up a lot of thoughts for you of how to move forward with your content, right? And how you can repurpose your content so that you remain visible to your audience, and you don't have to tie yourself down to being on your phone or being in front of a computer every single day, right? This is going to position you so that, you hear people talking about making money in their sleep, right? They're making money in their sleep because they have consistent content going out. And I mean, if you're not running ads, obviously, if you're running ads, it's a different scenario. But if you're not running ads, the reason they're making content in their sleep is because they are consistently putting out relevant content that is getting their audience excited, content that is valuable to their audience, right? And they're doing it in a consistent way and in a creative way so that people are buying from them over and over. And people are buying from them different times of the day and night because they are seeing it and they are convinced that you are the best option for the challenges that they are currently experiencing. Yeah. So I hope this makes complete sense. As usual, jump into my comments if you have any questions at all, and I will be glad to answer them. Jump into my DMs if you have any questions at all. I will be glad to answer them because I know this is something that every entrepreneur has to overcome or has to become an expert in order to grow your business. And guys, if you know that you struggle with it, then let's get some help. Get some help, right, to do it because I know it may be a struggle for you. And that's why I also have the content to sales program that I have running. It's 850. It's running until the end of September, where I help you to create 20 pieces of content. So I help you to start your content library so that you can rinse and repeat. It's for 3 months. I'm doing this for you. It's 850 a month. Um, and we do a complete audit of your existing content and audit of your business, and we create different types of content for your business. 20 pieces of content per month, right? 850 a month is the charge, and it's a 3 month engagement with me if that is something that you are interested in. Yeah. So, guys, enjoy the rest of the day. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your reactions. And meet me back here next week, Wednesday at 12 noon, where we continue our Lunch and Learn series. Have a great day, guys. Bye.